Well, a very, very good morning to you, wherever you are watching us from this amazing Wednesday morning. It's a beautiful day right here in the city of Lagos, and my name is David Edwin. It is the VOP this morning. Of course, we are not just going to be alone. I am not alone. I have the very beautiful Finna here with me. A very good morning to you, Finna.
Good morning to you, Mr. David. How are you doing?
Of course,
How
as
was
you.
your night?
My night was fine, and you have the amazing.
Good morning. Good morning to you, David. It's a beautiful day. I always like to say it's a beautiful day because
Yes.
it is a beautiful day. And you know what they say: what you speak, the way you speak into the day is what you will get.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to get religious here, but he's like. There's something troubling me, really. Yesterday in the news, we heard the police force PRO warning Nigerians to stop the act of self-kidnapping. That's now a thing. That's now a thing. Where people are beginning to kidnap themselves so people can raise money for them. And that just goes to show the level of poverty in the land. And also goes to show people wanting to take advantage of the kindness of others.
You see, I'm going to also stay there. When people decide to take advantage of the kindness of others, that's a very demeaning thing to do.
Of course it is.
And it's quite alarming because when you do this, you're blocking the way for the very genuine persons.
Oh, well, so stop self-kidnapping.
Like, that's really...
I am Moses Humphrey. Welcome to the show.
All right, it's a beautiful morning, like I said, and yes, we will definitely be doing so much this morning. We're serving you so much, and of course, you know, it's the breakfast show, and we serve you breakfast, literally. Information is what we're serving you this morning. And yes, we're going to dive straight into the papers, but before then, let's also let you know that with us today in the studio is an educationist and yes, a public affairs analyst, none other than the very Mr. Lawal Ekundai. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
And it's great to see you and have you here again today. All right, let's just do it almost immediately. Fina, are you ready? Let's dive into the papers. Let's see what the papers, the front page of the papers are saying this morning. Let's, well, maybe Fina is not ready. Moses is ready. Let's just do one of the papers and...
well, I don't have the papers right in front of me right now.
Okay,
but
I believe Fina should.
Yeah, I think I have it here. Let's look at Vanguard this morning. And then the first story says, how FG and others gain 1.05 trillion naira from naira depreciation. And there's a note on that actually, and this one says, as exchange rate gains soar by 10,400% in 9 months. And then the other one here says, while we impeach Speaker Ogun Assembly. And I have another story. This is on the one that says 32,462 Nigerians apply for international passports in 2 weeks. And that has to do with Japa thing. And the other one says a standoff in Plateau as police battle 16 sacked PDP lawmakers. And the note on it actually says, we want to accept 16 PDP, 16 APC members into plenary speaker. And this other one says, the speaker asks party to wait for interpretation of judgment. And we have another one that says, Governor Motiwang declares 24 hours curfew in Mangu. Away from that, we have another one that says, Rivers elders kick as court shown sued against Tinubu's peace pact. We have implement NSAS report, US tells FG. We have another story that says EFCC arraigns Obiano over alleged 4 billion naira fraud today. And other story says Pengassan rejects planned sales of Shell's onshore asset. The other story here says, and this is in sports, 2023 AFCON Super Eagles ready for any team, Pesero boats.
all right, interesting headlines there. Well, 32,462 Nigerians apply for international passport in 2 weeks. It's in as much as some countries are making strict measures to stop foreigners from entering their countries. Nigerians are devising more ways to run, to leave the country. the other day, yesterday actually, we talked about
The Canadian government.
Yeah.
Developing more stringent measures, increasing cost of living for students and making it difficult for students to come in with their spouses. But I heard, somewhere, and I heard people talking about it, and sometimes they were like, we'll go to another place. Let's just, it's,
Canada is not the only place.
It's appalling to say the least. It's appalling that there is no hope. Nigerians seem to have lost hope in the country getting better, and they only see a glimmer of hope when they run outside. That's appalling. Anyway,
you know one thing. Listen to, you see, the statement from the president.
Which one in
It's
particular?
affecting the people. That is why
Which
you
one?
see this man. The one he said that if don't worry, let them go. We'll train more.
Okay.
That thing, you get it, shows that the government is not as this nonchalant that it doesn't even care whether you are in the country or you are not in the country. Whatever you like, you can go if you want to go. You get. So it's like telling your children in the house. You see, if you want to go, you can go. The children will of course want to because they see that there's no love again. You understand? So that is why you see this. I expected the government to say something that is empathetic
Okay.
towards the plight of Nigerians and try to encourage them to stay so that we can work together and
build a nation.
this. So not well. If you want to go, you can go. Don't worry, we'll train more. Like somebody who has a child in the hospital, the doctor says that don't worry, let this one die. You are going to born another one.
No, that explanation is heartbreaking, really.
That's it. Man.
Mr. Lawal, I don't know. What do you make of this? Why is it that some states are now having, issues or standoff in the state government? We see the likes of River State having issues in the House, Ogun State now too, and now even in Plateau State. I don't know. What do you think they're led to that?
The one of Ogun, that is not really a big thing. You know why? Because it is within the house. Decided we don't want this leader. We impeach him. We elect another leader. That is
Because they didn't get them money.
but what he's doing, they don't like it. That is just an internet. I like one thing. The news is not telling us that no any other person is interfering. You get it. They leave the house to play the
politics.
Yes, their own
Within
politics
them.
within them. Which that is how it's supposed to be. There's supposed not to be any interference. You get, so that let them, if they see their leader or one of them is not doing what, you can rearrange yourselves within yourselves and then move on. But the one of Rivers, that one is different. That's why I said yesterday that what is aggravating the problem here is that the president decided to interfere. See Ogun is APC and the president is not interfering. No other person as a standard force is interfering. You don't notice that everything seems to be normal in that area. Now in Rivers, it's like it's not normal. Why? Because that's why you see somebody from another party interfering.
Should we blame the president then? Should we blame the APC for interfering in the affairs?
Yes.
No, we shouldn't. I feel if the PDP can put its house in order, the APC will not interfere in its affairs.
The house itself is a house on its own. What I mean by the house is that the lawmakers on their own is a house on its own. You get it? They can manage their situation within themselves. Now, the governor is there. In the state, that is why you have elder statesmen. Why do we call them elder statesmen?
What about that of the Plateau State?
I have not been following that of the Plateau State because of this issue of the killings that happened. Okay. That was the major news at this moment. That's because as of this present moment, nothing serious, concrete has been done about? Have you noticed, or maybe I'm not current? Is there anything serious being done about that? The killings that happen in Plateau.
There are probes going on. There are probes going on.
Okay, still going on.
And the governor, Governor Caleb Mutfwang, has declared a state of emergency, basically.
24 hours.
Yes.
And where the
in
humanitarian
a particular place.
the humanitarian minister that's supposed to be taking care of them is facing a probe in
let's also give it to the governor, because making that move seemed like one of the measures to curb this thing. But then let's get to other papers. Quickly, let's just dive into the Guardian newspaper. And the banner headline here says, broadband target dicey as 31 states remains undeserved. That is the banner headline. Of course, you find the pictorial there that really explains all of that. And then also you find there, Muftwang declares 24 hours curfew in Mangu. An interesting one as well. You also find there in the front page of the Guardian newspaper, 12 in police net over NNPP, I beg your pardon, APC supporters clashed in Kano. Okay. And then also you find there, old corruption saboteurs hobble new regime at passport offices. Okay. Government generates 1.7 trillion naira in December and shares 1.1 trillion naira amongst federating entities. You also find there that Ijo Youth, Pengerson, set for showdown over sale of Shell's onshore assets. Federal government hands over 700 megawatts Zone Geru project to MESL. May stabilize national grid. Okay. And they find they also Blinken Tinubu holds bilateral talks on security, economy, cooperation. Also, you'll find here in the front page, government, beg your pardon, police move against self-kidnap, arrest suspects in Lagos, Plateau, and Abuja. And also you find EFCC to arraign Obiano for alleged 4 billion naira fraud today. Finally, in the front page of The Guardian, you find Ogun Assembly impeaches Oluomo for alleged fraud. All right, well, before we get the reaction of Mr. Kudayo, we have our correspondent on the streets of Lagos who is taking the reactions of people to as regarding the newspaper, and I'm talking about our own Tosin Ejalonibu. I don't know if it's very much around and available right now. Tosin, a very good morning to you.
No. I'm here in the streets of Lagos, and I'm here. It's a bright and beautiful morning here. I'm here to sample the opinion of Nigerians or what they think about the news. What interests them in the news this morning? A couple of things in the news. I'm sure that my colleagues in the studio are already reading some of those headlines to you. Some of the things in the news this morning. On the phone line, the Daily Trust newspaper talks about 8 people being killed as a result in Plateau. We also have on the Punch newspaper. They are talking about Kano State and 9 other states. They are mulling the idea of death sentence and life jail sentence for convicted kidnappers. On this day newspaper, it talks about the visit of U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to the country yesterday. He was in the country and he lauded President Tinubu's economic reforms. On the Guardian newspaper, he talks about achieving broadband in the year 2025 has become dicey as 31 states become under-deserved. On the Vanguard newspaper, it talks about FG and others get over 1.5 trillion naira from naira depreciation. These are the headlines for news this morning. Let us hear Nigerians think. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Nigerians.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Comrade Adegboyega.
Comrade, what news item interests you in the news this morning?
I want to go political.
Okay.
Somehow.
Okay, sir.
First is the issue at Plateau Assembly. All Nigerians would definitely know for sure that the Court of Appeal, ruled against almost 16 of the PDP legislators, both national assemblies, And at the Supreme Court level, the governor was reinstated back. So to them there was a conflicting judgment, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court judgment. But where the state assemblies and national assemblies are getting it wrong, in my own opinion, is that law is law. You understand? The Constitution says every decisions about state and national assemblies ends at the Court of Appeal. You understand? Why that of the governors ends at the Supreme Court. So if the Court of Appeal has given their judgment and says the PDP, you understand, has to go home, where the APC are the candidate for now, I think that should rest the matter and the case. So to me, I don't think there's any way and any how that those affected by the PDP can get reinstated, as far as I'm concerned, because law is law. And they should not forget the fact that the same thing happened in Sanfora sometimes, you understand, 2019, you understand, when it happens that almost all the elected, members of the APC lost their election right away from the state to the federal level, even to the governorship. That is what the law and the oath says that time. And APC did not die. They accept their fate. So in the face of the law, for now, no matter what happens, as long as that constitutional aspect says that litigation of the state and national assembly stops at the appeal court level, there's nothing they can do. You understand? Those people that their case stops at the Supreme Court, that does not mean that they don't have, you understand, a reason to see complaint that the judgment of the Supreme Court did not go down well with them. A good example is the case of Uzo, you understand, before this president election. People call Uzodima, you understand, what do you call it, the Supreme Court governor. All because the people then, the opposition then, the PDP, did not understand the content at which, the CBN, the Supreme Court give their judgment until when he contested for a second term and he won. So either you like it or not, that's why they say Supreme Court is a court of policy. You understand? That's number one. Two, they say they are final, but that does not mean that they cannot be faulty at the same time. So the Court of Appeal is a final for now, either anybody like it or not, except and until when that part of the Constitution is amended. It is then they cannot say they are taking their case to. So my appeal to them is just accept their fate and go home jejely. It happens in Bayelsa. It was the deputy governor that says he has issues, but Leon has to accept because the governor said no. And that case then was, and it's a case of what? A case of pre-election, but was taken a day for inauguration, and the man lost. You understand? So let the people there, just take their follow. That's my position on.
Thank you very much. You can hear from Comrade Abiodun, and I also have here with me talking about his opinion this morning. What's your name, sir?
My name is Kayode.
Mr. Kayode, what news item interests you in the news this morning?
Talk about the Platoon State of Assembly issue. So the issue of national State of Assembly issue of a state, that's one of our PDP House of Assembly was sacked by courts. You see, what happened about Nigeria is that we should put everything about it emotionally and aggressive. Why I say so that Nigeria judicial will be reformed because the same case, different judgments affected Nigeria a lot of things. When the court says that other party cannot intervene to other party, they give judgments. Other courts will say that we can intervene the other party issue. So this has to be addressed about Nigeria, or else we cause anarchy in Nigeria. The same court in Nasarawa said that all the state assembly was sacked. And the same court in Nigeria said that the state governor should go ahead. What are we talking about? That is why we said about 2 days ago, the other House of Assembly PDP said that they will go to National to state House of Assembly this year. Because the law that affected them was affected the governor too. Say their vote the same day, both of them they are casting their vote for them in that state. So Nigeria judicial to be reformed. That across the board of Nigeria, you have the same judgment for the same cases. Because I could remember about some years back that a other party can take other parties to court if they're writing. In other words, I'm talking about, the court said like the people should go and do another primary election, which they refuse. Well, Nigeria refused to go about that issue. Nigeria refused to go about that issue. But Nigeria take their own emotion.
I think we lost a bit of connection there, but let's just get into the studio most immediately. All right, let's just dive into the Guardian newspaper. Now, you heard the people in the streets, and of course, our correspondent, Tosin Ejalonibu, doing a very fantastic job there. The people were complaining about the judiciary. And just yesterday, Ogun State Assembly impeached the Speaker, Oluomo, for alleged fraud. Of course, this is in the paper of The Guardian. What's your position on this as well?
I've said it earlier on that the Ogun State where the police are played inside their house. It's normal. I like it.
Okay.
No interference. That's the way it's supposed to be. You get, you file, you have allegations against your leader, and then it's impeached. No external interference. It's lovely.
Okay. All right then. Let's go into another paper now. The Punch newspaper has its banner headlines: Kidnapping epidemic, Kanu, 9 others, Mole death sentence, life jail. Kanu, Benue, Anambra, others committed to death sentence for convicts. Officials. IGP orders intelligence gathering on abductors. Kidnappers, landlords risk 20-year jail. On top of the nameplate, we have a FG to sell 5 power plants for $1 billion. Naira depreciation pushes drug imports to 950 billion naira. Nigerians lambast Wike for downplaying abduction epidemic. And then when you go further down, right there, the pictorial on the cover page of the Punch is that of Anthony Blinken and President Tinubu, having a tete-a-tete. The writer there is Blinken meets Tinubu, pledges $45 million security fund for Nigeria. Others. Right underneath the pictorial, INEC meets security agencies over February 3 by-elections. 2 arrested over man's death after hotel sex romp. 4 billion naira theft. EFCC arraigns Obiano today. Aid defends ex-governor. All right, so these are the headlines that we have from the Punch newspaper. My opinion, drug naira depreciation. If you look around, you hear Nigerians say, this is not a good time to fall sick, because if you do fall sick, you may not be able to purchase the drugs that you need to get better. And I don't know, what do you think government is doing really to ensure that drugs are made available? We see that pharmaceutical companies that have been in Nigeria are leaving. That in itself is making it more difficult. Some drugs have been produced here, but how much of the necessary materials do they have to continue production, when we know that the likes of GSK and some others are leaving? Just the other day, Unilever, makers of detergents, have decided to pack up their bags and go. And one wonders, if companies are leaving, airlines are complaining that they cannot repatriate funds. What then is the government saying as to bring in foreign direct investment into the country? It's anyway. From the headlines taken so far, is there any that you would like to respond to? Which one catches your fancy?
The issue of that kidnapping.
Okay.
You see, they are all coming up and saying something like death sentence for kidnappers, death sentence for whatever. You get what I'm saying? They even kidnapped a judge in, I think, Calabar or something. A judge was kidnapped. They will soon start kidnapping the lawmakers, and you get what I'm saying? It's coming to that. The problem has not been addressed. Nigerian government love this fire brigade approach. You get, house is burning, we'll carry water there, fire it, so that's without thinking about the root of the problem. What is the root of the problem? Negligence of Nigerians by the government. So the poverty has now increased so much that people look at the government and the government is turning its back to them.
There is also the talk that some of these kidnappings are politically motivated. Do you share that sentiment?
The one they said was that some people are self-kidnapping. You know,
that's
self-kidnapping.
Yeah.
Self-kidnapping means to raise money. Everything.
But the political motivation behind it, how do you react to that? You don't think so?
It's part of it. You now have let me call it kidnapping level playing ground in which anybody who has an opportunity can use it, because there's no check, there's no balance, there's nothing to curb it, so it's free for all. If you have the opportunity, you just you go ahead and do it. That is what we have on ground now. The government remove its hands from dollar. You know how our economy is tied to dollar, and you refuse to control it. You remove your hand and the whole thing begin to crash downward. You remove subsidy, you are so happy. I will remove subsidy. You are so expecting award for removing subsidy, when you know that lives of ordinary Nigerians are tied to that subsidy.
No, those are
And you get it. And Nigerians now see the father, that is the government, turning its back on them. So what do you now expect? They now begin to take.
That's why
yes,
Nigerians are beginning
they will continue to see. I said earlier on, some days ago, that the youth will begin to see. In fact, you start seeing vacancy notice on maybe social media outside, in which they'll be asking for anybody who wants to get employed in kidnapping business and scamming business. No, I'm coming. No, let's face it.
That's a bit extreme.
See, listen to this. You have to think to the extreme to be able to curb what is coming up.
Let's not drag this because we have the major talking points to get into. Do you support the death penalty for apprehended kidnappers?
Why do you face kidnapping? Why is it? What about the bandits that were given amnesty? And you don't think that those bandits are part of the kidnappers?
So are you
in other words, you're not supporting it?
Let us solve the bottom problem. Then whatever you now describe that the rest will be so, the remaining thing will be so small that the government can easily deal with and take out the problem out completely. It's not about whether you give death sentence or what. Do you know the judiciary? See what we have in judiciary. See what we have. By the time the guys start spending money, they say there's something they say now, that if you steal something small, you go to jail. If you steal big money, you get out of it, because part of that money you are going to settle.
You do plea bargain.
You settle the judiciary, you settle the police before they drag the case for the next 10 how many years. You get it. You will never see the end of the case, and then the person is free. That is what is going on.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Lawale Kodayo. And educationists who definitely will be joining us in the very topic that we'll be talking about this morning. Fina, you got something to say?
Actually, I wanted to ask him.
Let's move on to the next topic itself.
Anyway, I think that actually can come. But all the same, Mr. Lawal, I have a question for you, but that is after introducing what we have today, okay? This one says President Bola Tinubu is under pressure over his chief of staff.
I think we're
alleged involvement.
We're up for time there. Let's just get into this. Up next on VOP this morning, let's get to it. The President Bola Tinubu is under pressure over his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila's alleged involvement in corruption. Details when we return. Stay with us.